Our guest today is Jason Kazma. Jason is a competitive bodybuilder and has won numerous titles, including Mr. America. His knowledge and expertise on transforming the human body is remarkable, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you, Jason.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. I saw a video of you. You were competing, and you were 19 years old.
Yes.
So I'm guessing, so you've been competing for a long time, but you must have been training way before 19. I'm curious to know, when did you discover bodybuilding? Tell us how you fell in love with it, and how did you know that it was the right move for you?
I started weight training when I was 12, and that's because my older brother started weight training. And basically, anything he did, I would do. And so he was 16, I was 12, and we set up a gym in the basement, and we started with a bench and barbells and dumbbells, and we got some home squat racks, and then we got another bench, and then we got more weights, and then my brother got old enough to join a local gym, so he started training there, and then I was training in the basement alone, and I got a friend to start training with me, which didn't last, but I kept with it mostly.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I started weight training at 12, and then I didn't train when I was 13 for some reason. You know, a lot of people start and then they stop at starting when I was 14. I resumed it, and then I never stopped weight training from there. And I've always been athletic. I've always done more than just weight training.
That's really interesting, because most 12-year-olds are like not working out, if that's like the last thing they're thinking about.
I still haven't met another one
No,
like me yet.
Now they're all playing like video games, but I think that's really good to implement that at an early age, I think. So, Mr. America, how old were you when you won that?
Oh, that's a good question. Got to do math now. That was in 2004. 32?
You were
32. I was 32.
Okay, because you were like questioning it.
I just don't think.
Like
I just don't think in those terms. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was 32
ago,
and I won that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that process like, competing in that environment? Like, take us through the whole,
Oh, there's like a whole backstory to that. I competed as a teenager, starting from 15 through 19, and then I stopped competing after that. And then I just focused on college. And so you saw the video when I was 19. I had other shows, we just didn't videotape them. We didn't even have video at that time. But somebody had recorded that and they put it up on YouTube. And so that's actually somebody else's video, the one that you saw me.
The one at 19?
At 19, yeah.
Okay.
Or that could have been on ESPN. There was a muscle show, there was a bodybuilding show on ESPN. I think it was from that. And but anyway, I competed from 15 through 19, but I didn't start winning until I was 18 and 19. Then I took a break, and then I figured I was done competing. You know, I had already won the Southern States in my class, so I figured that's a good title. You know, that's something I can make a career on. You know, as far as a trainer. And Southern States is pretty good. That's like the whole South. It's like half of the country. Not bad.
Right. And before, you weren't even 20, so that's...
Well, that's what was in the teenage division.
Good accomplishment. Oh, okay. Yeah. But that's still a good start, yeah.
And so, and then I moved out here because this is where you can do personal training as a career. I never wanted to have a straight job. I didn't want to wear a suit, go to an office, stuff like that. Came out here to be a professional trainer. And so, I struggled at first, then my business got better, and then I got so comfortable in my business, I said, well, I can focus on my training more and get my physique back. And so I did that, and then I started competing again when I was 31. So there was like from 19 to 31, didn't compete, and then I came back. So I trained myself back up to competitive level, and then when I was 32, I did the Mr. America show. I did the Mr. America show because I read it in Muscle Magazine that they had it the previous year up in Santa Clara, up north. And otherwise, they didn't have the show consistently. It's not part of the normal competitive track that you think of in today's modern bodybuilding. It's owned by another federation. Anyway, it's a cool title. Everybody knows what it is. Mm-hmm. And I saw it in the magazine, and I saw the guy that won, and I said, I could beat that guy. So I decided to do the show. And I got the details of it. I emailed the promoter of the show, sent him a photo. I said, "Hey, I'm going to do your show." He said, "Great, come on and do it." And so that was the whole backstory to doing that. But the Mr. America show is just another bodybuilding show, and so training for it is just like training for another show. And I did have the benefit, I still have the benefit of training at Gold's Gym Venice, being in the mecca of bodybuilding, knowing all the people in the industry, and it's very motivating, just still even to this day, to be enmeshed in that world. And so basically what I do when I train for a show, I take about 4 months, which is longer than a lot of guys take. But I have a tendency to put on body fat, and so I have to cut down and then I have to build back up. And so that's why I need more time. A lot of guys just cut down, or some guys just build up and they don't need as much prep time.
And I'm guessing the training is super intense.
Yes.
No drinking, no junk food.
Oh, the diet. Yeah, there's
diet.
The training and the diet. Yeah, that's right. My training is always super intense, but training for a show adds another level of it, because you got to do all the details. You know, you can't just blow off, I can't blow off abs, you can't blow off calves. You can't just do 8 reps when you need to do 10 or 12. You got to push that extra level, and it shows in your physique. The harder you train, basically the harder your physique looks. And so it's really motivating to do a show. And when you're training for a show, you have to do everything you can to look as good as possible, because the other guy is doing everything he can. He's not slacking off. He's not sneaking Jolly Ranchers and stuff like that, and he's not skipping that last set, and he's not doing 30 minutes of cardio instead of 45 or an hour, so you have to do everything.
Absolutely. And you know what I thought was really interesting when I was looking into bodybuilding and just learning more about it is the poses.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't talk about that as much, and it doesn't get...
Yeah, that's right. It always came naturally to me.
It did? Because
Yeah.
I saw the videos. I don't know how long they are, but they're a good amount of time on stage, and you're breathing.
The free
and
posing routine, yeah.
and it looked pretty intense.
Well, you try to practice, so you hit your moves that you hopefully coordinated with your music.
Right.
Some people do that. Some people don't worry about it. Some people just play music and throw poses out there. I always tried to have a routine and make the moves seem like they're supposed to go with the music. And that takes a good amount of practice too. And yes, it is overlooked a lot.
It is.
A lot. And so that's like one of the services that I offer for nascent competitors is posing practice, because a lot of them they're putting in the work in the gym, but they're not putting in the work on the posing. And posing is like, it's on the day of the show, that's the most important thing, is posing, because the judges have no imagination. If you don't display your physique to your best advantage, the judges aren't going to say, "Oh, well, he didn't know how to hit that front lat pose, but I can see he has lats." They're going to say, "Oh, this guy has no lats," and so you get marked down for that. You have to be able to display your physique.
It's like your chance to model and show
everything
that you've been working on.
And if you don't display it properly, you don't have
then you don't, exactly.
And then somebody with an inferior physique who can display it better will beat you. And so it is really overlooked. But as far as posing goes, it always came naturally to me. I started posing young. Me and my brother, we'd pose in the mirror and stuff like that. And we would have our books. We'd have like Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, and it's got all the poses and all the exercises in there. I've read that book like 100 times. And so over the years, the posing always came naturally to me, and so still does, but still it takes a lot of practice. And not only that, you need to not only be able to hit the poses, you need to be able to hit the poses and hold them and not look like you're working really hard, which is difficult. So that takes practice and training as well. So you need to set aside at least 15 minutes a day in your contest prep just for your posing, so that you can make it look effortless. Not only so you can execute it properly, but so you can make it look effortless.
Absolutely. So what advice would you give someone that wants to get into bodybuilding?
What, starting from zero, or they're already big and they just want to start competing?
I'm not sure. Just any advice for someone that may be watching and wants to get into bodybuilding?
Well, if you're looking to do your first show, I would say don't overlook the posing. You know, that's the most important thing on show day. And then another big piece of advice is you know, find professional help, get a coach. You know, I didn't have coach. I had my brother. I guess he was my coach when I was younger. But you know, there's coaches out there. There's people that do this for a living. You know, you don't have to spend 20 years amassing the knowledge to do it. You know, you can hire a coach that can take his 20, 30 years of experience and impart that onto you. You know, so that's a big advantage you can have, which I didn't have in my day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about nutrition and losing weight. What is your science and your take on how to lose weight? How do you guide people on that end?
I use the same dieting model that bodybuilders use to get ready for a show. Okay, and by extension, it's the same model that figure competitors, bikini competitors, physique competitors, everybody in the space, in the physique space uses. Okay, it's just the model of diet is basically eating meals every 3 hours, high protein intake, carb intake depends on the person's genetics and how they burn and stuff like that. And same with the fat intake. And you have different ratios that you use along your path. And so when you're initially getting ready for the show, if you need to lose a lot of body fat, then you do high protein, low carbohydrate. And not high fat either. So
not high fat?
No, pretty much it's not a high fat diet. Bodybuilders don't do like a keto diet, you know, which used to be called an Atkins diet.
Right.
You know, they don't do that. Bodybuilders use a blend of mostly lean protein and complex carbohydrates. That's pretty much what they eat. And then they will vary the amount of carbohydrates according to what their condition is. And same with the fat. So early on, it's low in fat. And as you get leaner, you can add more fat so you don't burn as much muscle. Carbohydrates is mostly the tool that you use to avoid to burn fat and not burn muscle. If you're just doing like a, you know, high protein and fat diet with little to no carbohydrates, depending on how much body fat you have, that will work for about a month. Okay, and then after that month-ish, your body will just start burning muscle for energy. It's done burning fat for energy. Now it's going to burn muscle for energy. So that super low carb diet model is a short-term tool.
And that's the keto?
It's not a good idea. Yeah,
that's the keto.
The classical keto isn't even high protein. It's just fat. That's now a lot of people in the exercise space alter the keto diet and they have more protein, you know, but it's still basically very little carbohydrates, if any. They're just.
So you're saying the whole keto diet works for a short amount of time,
yeah,
but
it's not compatible with bodybuilding.
Okay.
It's not compatible with bodybuilding, i.e. physique, bikini, figure competitor. It's not compatible with any sort of physique competition.
Okay, well now that we're on this subject, because I wanted to talk about this, so the whole fad diets, would you consider keto a part of fad diets?
Yes, it's a fad diet.
And why do fad diets do not work? Because I still know some people that are,
actually,
get into it and then they get out and it's like it's a bad cycle, you know?
Actually, all diets work. They all work. It's a question of how long they work for and whether people follow it correctly. The thing is 90% of people that follow fad diets do them wrong, so they don't work. All diets are going to work, you know, because you're watching what you're eating, and inevitably you're gonna cut out a lot of junk foods and stuff like that if you follow it correctly. But like in the keto diet, like I said, it only works short term. And then you start losing muscle, and then when you stop following it, you have a slower metabolism, because the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism is, more active muscle that you have. And so if you do keto or just a starvation diet and you lose a bunch of weight and you lose muscle weight, your engine is burning less calories. And so then you gain more weight easily. And that's why people, you know,
When
gain
they
more
get back
weight
to
back.
the eating.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's
I've been there.
dieting
I've tried
correctly is
all the fat
difficult.
diets,
Yeah.
and I recently, thank God, like, you know, now I know that it's a lifestyle and it's long term. But I've definitely been there. I've like I've done like the cabbage soup diet for a long time, like 10 years ago, and it worked, and then, you know, you just gain it
That's
back.
another- yeah,
and it's a
it's-
whole cycle. It's like it's just a bad thing to get.
Most of them are just basically calorie restriction, and some of them are too low. And I don't remember about the cabbage soup diet. I'm sure it
You're just eating
advocated-
soup.
That was it? There's no food, just
no,
a soup?
it's really boring. It was just like cabbage soup, and it's actually, I think me and my sister used to do it all the time. You have like fruits on one day and then vegetables with the cabbage soup. And the more cabbage soup you eat, the more you lose. But it's by the 5th day, you're just like over it. And then you eat regular food, and then it's a waste of time.
Yeah. So once again, that's basically, it's a starvation diet. That's essentially what it is. And so you're just eating very little. Cabbage is good for you. I mean, it moves the chi. It's metabolically active. It's a good food, but it's not magic.
It's not a life. You know, it's not.
Yeah, it's not a lifestyle diet.
Okay. So why does a combination of what you're saying, the foods, why should we have the carbs, the protein?
Proteins help your body build and support muscle. Okay, so because you want to at least maintain your muscle while you're trying to lose fat. Ideally, you would also want to try to gain muscle, so you need protein for your body to convert that into muscle. That's the easiest way, because it's protein that you eat. Your muscles are made out of protein, so you want to take in protein. Now, when you exercise, you're burning calories, and your body will preferentially, this is by default, your body preferentially wants to burn carbohydrate first, meaning sugars, glycogen, whatever your body takes in for carbohydrates, converts into glycogen, wants to use that. Once you use up glycogen, it wants to burn either protein, i.e. muscle, or fat, depending on what kind of exercise you're doing. Okay, so if you're not taking in carbohydrates, your body will burn more protein, and then you'll burn more muscle, which you don't want. You want to build muscle. You want to burn a minimum amount of muscle. So carbohydrates are protein sparing. Get it? So
I do.
Carbohydrates protect your muscle mass. Okay. Fats are not protein sparing. Fats is like the last thing your body wants to burn for energy. You have to both trick and force your body to burn fat for energy. That's why it's so difficult. That's why people fail so much at it. And a lot of people that lose weight end up losing just as much muscle as fat when they're not doing a very carefully planned diet.
Right.
Because you have to trick your body to do that.
How do you trick your body then?
You trick your body through the design of the diet. And in our case, it's the 5 to 7 meals a day, meals every 3 hours. That way, when you're eating every 3 hours, your body knows that there's fuel coming in, and it'll be willing to use stored fat for energy. If you eat once or twice a day, your body doesn't know when food is coming in, and it wants to store everything as fat, okay? Because it thinks you're trying to starve it. You understand? So when you eat more meals, it makes your body more willing to liberate fat for energy. Okay? And then it also supports your muscle mass, so you don't get low blood sugar and your body starts burning muscle for energy. All right? And if you want to build more muscle mass, you have to take in enough carbohydrates so that you have energy to train, you have energy for your body to grow and recover and not dip into your muscle mass. And then your fat intake is important. You do a really low fat intake for a certain amount of time just to start losing fat and get your body fat down to a certain marker. And then after that, you want to increase your fat intake, not to a crazy amount, but say 20% of your total calories is like a healthy amount of fat intake. Okay, and then fats are what your body converts into hormones. And so like a super low fat diet long term, all your hormone output goes down. So you don't want to do that for a super long amount of time.
Okay, so it's a whole science behind it that if someone follows it and sticks with it, anyone can lose weight.
Anyone can lose weight.
But what about, you always hear about those stories or like people they're like sad stories where they just can't lose weight.
No, they don't lose weight.
They don't
choose not to lose weight.
But it's
They can
possible
lose
for
weight.
anyone to.
Anybody can lose weight.
You stick with this kind of program.
Yeah.
That's
You can have the deck stacked against you. I mean, that's true. You can have bad genetics, which means almost nothing, but basically it's always lifestyle. It's lifestyle, it's outlook, and a lot of these people, they just don't know. They don't know how to eat. They don't know the difference between like a McDonald's burger and a grilled chicken breast. They don't know the difference. They don't know that those are different. They haven't been taught. I mean, people have been deliberately misled their whole lives about nutrition. So no mystery as to why people don't know how to eat,
Right.
Most people think that if you eat at Subway, you lose weight. I mean, that's ridiculous. So it's not those people's fault, but if they really wanted to lose weight, they would be successful, because anybody can.
It's possible for
You can lose
everyone.
weight even doing it wrong.
As
You
long
can
as
do
if you're
everything wrong and
trying.
lose weight. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as long as if you're trying and putting it out there and
Yeah.
at least
Consistently.
being consistent,
Yeah.
you should see results.
It's the consistency. That's what people don't have.
Right. So what kind of workouts do you like working on? And do you
I
use
do weight
combination?
training. I do
just weight training. Why weight training?
Because that's what I like to do.
Okay.
And that's the most efficient tool for transforming a body. Okay, like depending on you can do weight training in all kinds of different formats. You can do straight sets, you can do supersets, you can do circuits, but weight training is the most effective tool at shaping the body. And you should want more shape. So weight training is by far the most effective. Okay, that's resistance exercise with free weights. Not that machines are fine too, but you need like free weights rather than, say, bands. Okay, bands don't have any resistance on the negative, and the negative part of the rep, when you're bringing it down, that's what actually triggers the muscle growth and strengthening. So bands are not as good as like real weights. Okay. And so that's what I do. Like people will, Pilates is not as effective in shaping the body. Okay, you're not
I
overloading
think
the
Pilates
muscle.
works for some people. It depends
It
what
works.
you
Sure,
want to
it
get
works.
out of.
It's not better than weight training though.
But it depends on what you want out of a workout. Pilates is amazing for your back and for realigning things and toning, right?
But if you want to make an impact on the muscle that you can see,
You're saying
you'll
weight
get
training.
faster results with weight training than you do with Pilates.
Wow,
Period.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pilates has its applications and stuff like that, but if you want to transform your body, you should be focusing on weight training.
Because you see faster results.
That's right. And everything that you can do in Pilates, you can approximate or do better with weight training.
That's true. Yeah. What do you?
Doesn't mean Pilates is garbage.
Right.
But if you only have so much time and you want to use the most effective methods, that's what you should be doing.
So who has been your favorite client to work on?
I've trained hundreds of people.
On your website that you've trained Angelina Jolie, and
That was one of my trainers.
that was one of your trainers?
Yeah, I have a lot of trainers that work for me, and so.
Oh, okay.
they've,
I thought that
I've
it-
trained some celebrities. They've trained
okay.
other celebrities and stuff.
nice.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he trained Angelina Jolie. I was like, I want to talk to him about that.
Sorry, that wasn't me
Okay.
personally.
So who has been your favorite client that you've worked on that we may know of?
Oh.
Or your
Marshall Falk,
Okay,
football player.
nice.
Yeah.
What team does he play in?
He used to play for the Rams. He's retired now.
Okay. And you did
But
weight
when
training?
I train actors and stuff for roles, they are a lot of fun because they're really motivated. And so they always do what you say. They never don't do what you say because they're financially motivated to get the results. They're not
always-
conflicted in their
yeah.
head about it.
Yeah.
A regular person, even if they're paying you top dollar, sometimes they're just conflicted about it, or they're not willing to change their
don't want
lifestyle
it that bad.
sufficiency. Yeah, or sometimes they're just not ready, Sometimes you get a client, you give them your best effort, you give them all the advice, you write out their diet, you follow up, and you try to have them do it, and they're just not ready to do it, And then sometimes a few years later, they reach out to me like on Facebook or something, and they look amazing. Like, yeah, I finally started doing what you said.
Wow.
Yeah, just sometimes they're not ready.
I always wonder, like, like the eyes of a trainer, like if someone is, how excited do you get when you actually see someone,
that's what you
working
do the
and
job
sticking
for.
to it.
Yeah, that's what you do the job for.
Right.
That's what keeps
I
you
bet
going.
it really makes, your life easier, right? Than
Yeah, it's very
someone that
motivating. It
doesn't
boosts your
follow.
confidence as a trainer. You're like, oh yeah, I do know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But some people don't, regardless of how much they're paying you. You can't, you're not in control of that. So,
Right. So you have an app. Talk to us about your app and what people can get out of it.
My Train with
sign up.
Mr. America app has everything in it. It has the workouts, which I personally design, and it has the nutrition component, which you can put in and record what you eat and stuff, and I can see everything that you do in the app, and so I can make adjustments to it, and that's for online training. And there's some lack of understanding on the terms of what that is. Online training is basically when you give somebody a plan and they follow it. And then hopefully there's some sort of back and forth where they, do what you say and then they report in and so you can make adjustments. That's online personal training. That's delivered through the app. Another thing that's become popular ever since the whole pandemic and shutdown is virtual personal training, and people mix the terms up. Virtual personal training is training via Zoom when you're telling them what to do via Zoom Live. Yeah. Okay, so it's the same as personal training in person, except you're not actually there, but you're putting in the time with the person and stuff like that. That's virtual personal training. That's different from online personal training. Online personal training is they do it on their own time and follow your plan.
Okay.
And that existed well before the whole Zoom thing.
Right. What did
the online
via
personal
Zoom?
training where you give them a plan? I mean, I think I invented online personal training actually. Because like I told you earlier, as far as I know, I was the second personal trainer ever to have a website, like in the 90s. I couldn't find another personal trainer. And I would do, once I had my website up, I had mail order training programs. That's what I called them. And so people would print out my questionnaire. They'd mail it with a check because we didn't have online payment processing then.
Thank God for what's.
Yeah, when you bought a domain name, you had to fill out a form and mail them a check for them to give you your domain name. And so I get an envelope with their questionnaire and get the check, and then I would type out their program, and then mail it back to them. And then, pretty soon I was able to email it back to them. And so we did that, and so as far as I know, I invented online personal training. And then later when PayPal came out, I was like an early adopter with PayPal, and I was able to jigger a way to where people could pay me online. And then I started doing it that way.
Nice. And now we have via Zoom.
Yeah, and it took me a long
and
time to get my app together.
Okay,
so
you have it now, and that's amazing.
I do it now. It's a lot more efficient. I used to make a PDF of the workout and of the diet, and then give them a document where they could, put in what they did for the workout and what they ate and stuff like that. And it's just a lot more efficient with the app because everything is there, not just for them, but for me. So it's easier for me to follow more people and make more adjustments and stuff like that, rather than have to open up documents and stuff.
Okay, yeah. And so thank you so much for being here. What advice would you give someone watching if they can't find the motivation to work out or eat healthy? If you could just
That's a good question. A lot
close
of
the
people
interview
ask
with
me
giving
that.
someone the best advice that they need right now to get them, get them to start working out.
Is your trainer can't give you motivation. Mm-hmm. That has to come from within you. So you can't rely on somebody else to give you motivation. That's like a misnomer. That's a misunderstanding. You can't expect somebody else to give you motivation.
Okay.
You need to be self-motivated.
That's very true.
The trainer gives you the tools. You need to be actually
You
do
need
it,
to
and
want
nobody
it
can do it
yourself.
for you. Nobody can do it for you. If I could do it for them, I would charge 100 times more, and I'd be like a billionaire. if I could do it for them.
Right. No, you definitely need to want it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No one can
That's
make
a
you do
common
anything.
question is they say, how can you motivate unmotivated people? You can't.
You can't.
They're unmotivated.
Yeah.
That's
They have to
it's
want
not what
it.
I'm there for.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here today with us. Tell our viewers where they can find you on Instagram.
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. America Jason Kazma. My website is jasonkazma.com. It's also accessible through latrainer.com. It'll just forward you there. And I'm on Facebook. You just type in my name, Jason Kazma, Kozma.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.